As an HR consultant for small businesses and startup companies, I consistently hear how difficult and painful managing the hiring process can be. Whether you're getting thousands of applications to sift through or you're not getting enough, Workable is my absolute favorite tool for small business owners and small teams to hire best in class talent. As you will see, this software saves both time and money with their automations and their very low subscription cost. I have dropped my link below for you to check it out for yourself, and I have also included a coaching scheduling link if you want someone like myself to come in, evaluate your hiring needs, design a strategy with you, and configure the entire Workable system for you. Without further ado, let's begin. We are going to talk about Workable today. Workable is my favorite applicant tracking system and recruitment software out there, specifically for small businesses and startup companies that want to internalize the recruitment process, but do so in a way that is streamlined and easy to navigate. In terms of pricing, this is a very cost-effective solution. Oftentimes, when we think about the 15 to 20% placement fees that recruitment agencies have on the hires that they find and place in our organizations, this will save you millions. Over 18 months, I have saved companies over $1.1 million just by transitioning them to Workable. The starter plan is going to actually start at $149 a month. This is a very cost-effective solution when it comes to applicant tracking systems, and the $149 does include all of the tools that you are going to need to find the best of the best talent globally. Now, from an HR perspective, they are expanding their services. If you do need a time off management, onboarding, compliance, payroll integration, that is something that you can think about. But just from starting off, we're going to talk about today the recruitment core module that they are really, really strong at. Okay, we're going to go ahead and log in. Now, I've already logged in, but you might come up to a page of tutorials the first time you log in. But for the purposes of today, I'm going to show you the basics behind how I guide companies to really configure the Workable system and set their recruitment process up for success. The very first thing that you are going to want to do is configure the Workable platform to represent your company to prospective candidates, which means it needs to know a little bit of information about your organization. So we are going to go up to our icon at the top right, and we are going to click on Settings. We are going to come back to this careers page, but for purposes of starting off, we need to make sure that Workable knows about our company. We're going to head under company to company profile to do this. And this is really the basics behind what your organization is all about. You're going to have your company name, website, contact information, of course, your company logo and branding, any company description that certainly echoes the core values and the talent experience there. And then by far, I think the most critical is going to be these social sharing details. Why? In the recruitment space, some of the best talent comes from our internal talent referrals. So we want to make sure that when they share the job description or the posting on their own LinkedIn or their social media, that it represents what we want the message to be. So this is going to include an image and a job description, or a brief description rather, about your company, and then it will actually link to the job description itself. So speaking of job descriptions, if you are a small business, you might not have a website that has configuration for a careers page. So something that I really love about Workable is it has a customizable careers page for every company that pays for the platform. So you can go ahead and click on Edit Careers page, and it's going to come up with pretty much the drag and drop editor for your own brand. It is important that you have that presence for candidates to go to and learn more and actually see current and future job postings that you might have if they are not selected for a job. So this is a really easy, all of this is editable, but then you have the ability to come in here and you have tons of options. So you have images with text that you can highlight your culture, for example, paragraph where you can maybe put your core values, of course, testimonials, your departments even, what are they getting into? How are they going to fit into the organization? If you have locations, especially for remote organizations, if you have multiple headquarters, that's always good to know. Benefits are key. Videos, numbers, KPI metrics, maybe, and then social media. All of these are available to you as customizable options for your very own career page. All right, now that you have your careers page built and the workable system is configured to your company details, we are going to get into the magic of this software, which is the game changing value of automated actions, workflows, and templates. I call this the automation trio. These are going to save your internal teams, small businesses, startups, such a significant amount of time, and it's going to make internal recruitment possible for your company. We are going to start with templates. There is a lot of functionality. I'm going to skip over some of this. I'm going to really focus in on the things that are absolutely critical to get set up prior to posting your first job. So, the first thing we're going to go through is communication templates. These, in essence, are all of the automated emails and texts, if you have that enabled, to the applicants. They are going to be your first impression to applicants. So, it's incredibly important that these are really customized. They echo a very friendly demeanor and presenting yourself in a way that you actually care about the candidate experience. Now, Workable has some of these automatically in here. They do have templates. They, quite frankly, are very, very basic. So if you think of like the mass rejection email, this is only a few sentences. So you're going to want to come in here and actually edit a lot of these and put your branding on them. You can also add your own templates. I've already added my own template down here. This is a thank you message for the initial applicants. Now, speaking of the phases of the interview process, we are going to get into workflow now. Workflow, they have something called pipelines. Pipelines are going to be your internal process for every role that you are hiring for. Depending on the technicality of the role, these are going to look a little bit different. So for technical roles, oftentimes you'll see an assessment included. So they might be a little bit longer. If they are more of a soft skills role, they might not. They might be a little bit more consolidated. So you can create as many pipelines as you need to really fit the process that you are going to have with your internal teams. And then once you do those two things, you have your templates up and running and you have your workflows, you're going to head to automated actions. Now, the automated actions, they have 5 of them in here. I have used several of them, but one that I always use is this thank you message just for applying. This is going to give you the ability to communicate automatically from your personalized email that you specify right here. So I actually have myself in here already. And then you can send them the email template that we created, which was the thank you message for the applicant. And then you can specify if you want it to be sent immediately, a short delay, or a time. I always do immediately, and then we're going to add the automation. And this essentially, it takes us out of the equation and allows that candidate experience to happen behind the scenes and without any time spent on our calendars. We are almost finished setting up Workable prior to that first job posting, and there is only one last step that I always recommend everyone to do. Down under integrations, there is something called apps. You're going to want to click on that. This is where you will input all of your existing software to allow it to seamlessly communicate with Workable and obviously integrate into the communication channels to make your work effective. So first, email and calendar, absolutely critical. They do offer a workable email and calendar, but you're not going to get the notifications that you need. So you want to make sure if you have Google Suite or Microsoft, make sure you put your information in there. Zoom is what they offer. You can, of course, have interviews on other video conferencing tools, but they offer Zoom here. Integration with Slack is really useful for collaboration with interviewing teams. And then finally, these service integrations. Now, depending on your existing subscriptions to some of these job boards, you're going to want to put that information in here. But one that I always call out is LinkedIn. You are certainly, no matter what, going to want to tell Workable what your company ID is. So it essentially ties the job posting to your company on LinkedIn. This is the most popular job board over the course of my last 12 years in HR. This has been overwhelmingly where you get a lot of your valuable candidates from. So go ahead and click on your LinkedIn page, and then at the tail end of your URL, it's going to shoot out a number that is a company ID. You're going to want to put that in here. If you do have LinkedIn Recruiter, there is a contract ID that you would put in here. But then I always like to emphasize this. LinkedIn Apply is where they can easily apply to your job. And then there's a lot of other job boards. You're going to see a ton. They have over 200 job boards that they are connected to. So you do have a lot of these different integrations. So if you do have, let's say, an assessment tool, I use Test Gorilla. I just saw that. You're going to want to put in your information there so that candidates, again, don't have to click all over the place. It can be very simple, streamlined, and seamless. We are officially ready to post our first job. Everything on the back end has been configured. So now we're going to head up to this left-hand corner and the logo, and we are going to head down to Workable Recruiting. We're going to click on Create Job. And you guys are really going to see the value of this platform because we are going to, in real time, create an entire job posting in a matter of minutes. For purposes of today, we're going to do an HR generalist role. And this department and job code are for organizations who are very organized internally. If you're a startup company or small business, don't worry about this. For the workplace, you are going to have on-site, hybrid, and remote availability. For on-site and hybrid, they are going to force you into an office location. For remote, you can go ahead and do the entire United States. Something I do love is the additional employee locations. For those businesses who are operating on a full remote model, you might not be registered in all 50 states. So you can add the states that you are registered in here, and you can really specify that in order to be eligible, they have to work in one of those locations. Now, they just created this functionality. I am obsessed. So we are going to go ahead and click Generate with AI. My job really is to prepare you guys in the best way I can to save time. Now, this is not perfect, so you are certainly going to want to go back internally and make sure that you are reflecting all of the gaps that you have in terms of competencies and capabilities that you are trying to actually bring in this candidate. But from a starting point, this is awesome. It does analyze your company up front. It does have some very basic key responsibilities and role depending on your job title. So you can see that a lot of these responsibilities are very similar to what other HR generalist roles would be. And then requirements, this is again just a suggestion from Workable. And then it also has, again, requirements. Now, benefits, again, they have one click import common benefits from your location, and you can just go through and kind of add, okay, well, we are working from home. We do offer training and development. We have life insurance, paid time off, healthcare, retirement, family leave, short-term disability, whatever you guys have. And then you can add this in, and it's just so simple and so seamless. I absolutely love it. For my industry, management consulting definitely fits. We can go ahead and click on human resources here. Employment type, full-time. Experience, let's do mid-senior. And then education, we'll do bachelor's. And then we can also do any keywords. Salary transparency. This is something I'm advising all of my businesses to do. There are more and more states that are writing into law that you have to disclose your annual salary on your job posting. Especially if you're remote, it's better just to put it out there and fix any internal discrepancies prior to you posting the job than it is to get caught in noncompliance. So if you have issues internally with salary and you need to fix them prior to posting a public salary, go ahead and do that. But salary transparency is a train that we are not going to stop from coming. All right, we're going to go ahead and save and continue. This is the application form. It is all really, really simple, as you guys can see. So we have name, email, and then all of these are either optional or mandatory. So I'm going to go ahead and make the address mandatory because I might not be registered in all of the states. So I want to make sure to know where they live. Maybe a phone number would be mandatory, especially if you're calling to provide an offer. And then education is always optional. Experience is always optional. That's something that Workable really thrives in, is making sure that it's very concise from a candidate experience standpoint. You will have the opportunity to put a mandatory summary or a resume. I absolutely have a mandatory resume every time. Cover letter is interesting. I would actually keep this as optional. This is really going to indicate how interested your candidate is in your organization. If you keep it optional and they don't write a cover letter, they might not be that interested in joining your company. But if you make it mandatory, then everyone has to write a cover letter. So this is a really good key indicator of candidate interest. Here is where a lot of the power of Workable is, because a lot of those disqualification requirements are going to be able to be automatically declined in this function. So we're going to go ahead and add a question. Now, just so that you guys know, there is one question type for a disqualification or an auto decline. That is going to be your yes or no answer. If you have a drop down, for example, or multiple choice or a short answer, you're not going to see this magic button right here, which is disqualify a candidate if answer is no. So if the answer is no, I can auto decline the candidate. So something like work authorization would be an awesome question to put in here. I'm going to put, do you have at least 5 years of HR experience in here? And if their answer is no, I'm going to auto disqualify. As we mentioned previously in the templates and the workflows, you can automatically decline people and have a really nice message sent to their email. Then we are going to save as draft. Now, if you are ready to publish, it is going to be right up here, but I always like to kind of have two people look over, make sure everything is good, all of our I's are dotted, T's are crossed. Once you hit publish, this is going to automatically publish to your careers page, but Workable actually manually approves every single job posting that comes through their system. They want to make sure to weed out the spam. Now that we have our job posted, it is time to now move applicants through the recruitment process. So we're going to head down to our job for HR generalist, and for purposes of demonstration, I've applied to this job myself so you can see a little bit of the functionality. First is going to be their origination for where their application came from. This is important not only for KPI metrics, but it also allows you to identify if they used AI during the application process. If you see something like the ladders, this is important to note because they typically have never even been to your website and don't know your company because they applied through one click. Sometimes their applications are good. Other times you can tell that they have applied through AI. The other pieces that I want to point out, you are going to be able to see all of the things that they've submitted. So I actually submitted a portfolio. And then you're going to see where they're living, what their phone number and contact information is. And then you can see down here, I answered yes to that disqualification question. And obviously, they don't know that they're going to be disqualified if they answer no, but that was a really good example of the power of Workable, especially because this application would never even be in qualified if I had answered no to that question. Okay, a little bit of the functionality up here. You are going to be able to email the applicant. So let's say I want to invite this applicant to a phone screen. The great thing about this is you can pull in those templates. So you can go ahead and arrange a phone call, and then you would theoretically send the email. This is, again, super streamlined, saves a ton of time, and I love that functionality. Next, you can send a text message if they have opted into texting communications. You can see that you can create an event, which is going to go to your Workable calendar. You can actually add a comment that the applicant will never see to your internal team. So let's say I'm going to tag an interviewing member that I really liked this applicant, and then a little bit about their history, notes, etc. Okay. And then when you click on add comment, this is going to be visible to all hiring team, not visible to candidates. You can add an evaluation. So I can say, I liked this candidate, thumbs up. All right. And then I can go ahead and click on the thumbs up. So if you have a rating scale that you've set up in that configuration, that is going to be there. The red hand is going to be disqualify applicant. Now, depending on what your workflows are, I'm going to just quickly head over there just because I want you guys to see this. The automated actions, if you do a disqualification message at any stage, then it will send them a message. This is a really good automation. But one thing I have noticed though is if you are going through and you're disqualifying applicants, sometimes you don't want to immediately send them an email. So I actually don't set up that automation specifically because maybe it takes another set of eyes to really see if this candidate has potential. If you've already disqualified them and it automatically sends them a disqualification message, that's going to be really awkward, especially if you want to go back and interview them. Let's say if someone declines the offer and you do need to go back through and screen all of your applications. Next thing and final thing is going to be move to phone screen. So this is how you're going to move an applicant through the interview process. So I'm going to go ahead and move them to phone screen. Again, there is a workflow automation where you can actually send them an email. If a candidate is moved to, let's say, the phone screen, then we would send them automatically a phone screen message from user. So you can set all of this up. This is a really, really good tool for automation. I cannot say enough how much I absolutely love Workable.